everyone. Happy 4th to you. I'm Jane Monreal. You are watching Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus at 9 o'clock. Hope your holiday weekend is off to a good start as we celebrate Independence Day here. 250 years for the United States of America. A lot of you are planning to have a cookout, maybe barbecue. That's when you slow roast, smoke. I got it. I lived in Texas. And you guys want to know about the weather?
Yeah.
You're so festive, Chris.
I can't wait to hear about the weather. Who's doing it?
It's you.
Carlene, you do the weather.
Heavens,
Do
no.
anything.
Yes, this is true.
Anything she puts her mind.
Thank you.
I know. I'm super pumped about this forecast. So I actually want to start in reverse. So usually I end with the 7-day forecast, but I want to really point something out. For one, look here right below all the weather symbols that we have no percentages today nor tomorrow.
Nice.
That's because we have a very rare event here, Jane and Carlene, that we actually have no chances for isolated thunderstorms for this July 4th. And the reason why is because, actually, I wonder if this is in here. Happy the high is going to be over us. So whenever you have a high pressure system, that is going to allow for a usually sunny forecast. Also, shout out to my sister-in-law, Allie, who actually made this.
Shout out, Allie.
Yeah, and as you can see, this is, I guess, his dating profile, the way that I wrote it. Loves to bring the sunshine. Dry weather is his jam, and he's cool to his left and warm to his right, and that has to do with the circulation around it. So it's always good when Happy's around because look at the deuces he's throwing up there. So all peaceful weather usually whenever you have Happy the high. But then when you have Larry the low, sorry, Larry Sprinkle, you're going to have a much better chance
Larry.
for developing storm, rain, winds, and that's exactly what we have here. And this time of year, if it's out in the Atlantic, the Caribbean, you could have a chance that it could become strong enough to be named either a tropical depression and or a tropical storm. So right now it has a really fancy name that rolls off the tongue really nicely, Tropical Wave Invest 92L. Quick little lesson here. So what happens is whenever there's an investigation, it starts with 90 and goes up to 99 and then goes back to 90. So throughout the season, the next time there's an investigated area, it'll be 93L, goes up to 99, then it recycles. So that's the way that works. The L represents Atlantic. If it's over in the Pacific, it'll be an E for Eastern Pacific. And if it's the Western Pacific, it'll have a W. So just letting you know, we're going to show a lot of these here going forward. So if you watch this specific episode, you now know. I'm sure I'll explain it again because that's what I do. But I want to really spend this time and focus a little bit more on this developing system. For one, we really talked a lot about the difference of subtropical to tropical storm. Regardless, the impacts are the same. You just either have kind of a front that's attached or the center circulation doesn't match up with the winds. But this is a fairly weak system as far as what a tropical storm can bring. I still think that if we name it Chantal or if it's just tropical depression number 3, you still have a ruined beach day in South Carolina. Here, let's rewind here. So if you're going to the beach Saturday morning, likely it's cloudy. You're going to have a red flag showing a rough sea or a yellow flag showing that there's dangerous rip currents. You might avoid the rain most of the day, but you're still going to have stronger winds and sand blasting at you. So just not a good beach scenario. I think some of the heavier rain won't really arrive until your Saturday evening along the shoreline heading into your Sunday. You're also going to have some pretty high waves. Look at this off the shoreline. That blue is representing about 5 to 10-foot waves, and it could be up to about 5-foot waves just along the shoreline. So those are going to be crashing some rough seas. Here's a look at the wind gusts. It's not really impressive. It actually gets a little bit more closer to the center. So yesterday we were showing a classic setup for a subtropical. If it aligns this way, it'll be a little bit more towards a tropical profile. But again, we're splitting hairs here. And truly, this is such a limited time because now we have a 60% chance that it's going to develop develop into one of these two scenarios over the next 48 hours. Well, once it develops, it makes landfall. So yet again, we're going to have another storm system that barely lasts. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. I'm so sorry if you just heard a
It's okay. You
crash.
can apologize to the microphone.
Little internal
I'm
firework.
I'm so sorry, Mike.
Very
you,
exciting.
You deserve better than that. But interesting, I always like to look at the stats and the numbers. If we do develop this storm number 3, this will be well ahead of schedule, because typically we have our third named storm in the Atlantic hurricane season August 3rd, and thereafter it's every week to 2 weeks that we have a new name storm, and then once you get to September, it can be 1 to 3 a week sometimes. And we were behind for storm number 1. That was Andrea. Barry was ahead of schedule because it's usually not until July 17th. So just letting you know, if this does come to fruition, it'll be again another really short-lived one. Chantal will be recycled 6 years from now. Nothing major, but as we know, if you've been to Charleston, you can have a moderate rain shower and it could flood. So
Yep.
there's always the chance of, especially with this system heading right there, that you actually could have some minor to moderate flooding compared to their standards, but something that they're used to in general. All right, so I want to break down 2 things here, how it's going to impact your weekend. We'll get to your Futurecast, the one that you care the most about. But one thing that I have noticed a change since yesterday, today, no problems with the napkins. Tomorrow, napkins could blow away. So I think you have a wind at 7 to 12 miles per hour today, gusts to 20 to 25 miles per hour tomorrow. So if you're having another cookout and or a barbecue tomorrow, which, by the way, you all know the difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
difference.
connected the dots yesterday.
This is the time of year that we remind everyone.
Friendly
However,
reminder.
I want to bring up a discussion. I'm going to stop here.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So, what happens if you are slow cooking a burger for multiple hours?
Why would you slow cook a burger?
Oh, because it
Yeah.
actually absorbs the smoky flavor. My father-in-law does it, and it's actually one of the best burgers you can have. He does it up to 5 hours, and it's delightful.
So you're smoking beef.
You're smoking beef.
If you're smoking
Okay.
beef, then that's a barbecue.
That's
But
technically
you're smoking
barbecue.
a meat.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're still barbecue. But then how do you get the? I like kind of a crisp, edge of the patty.
So the way that he does that is you slow cook it then, and then you he puts some new charcoals at the very end, and then you just kind of char each
a-
side really quickly, and then that's
Like
it.
a
Yeah.
quick broil.
Yeah, it's the best burger I've ever had. So John Wilson, love you, love your burgers.
John.
Today I'm at the grill, so it's not gonna take that long. So just letting you know.
You know, I've never had a smoked burger.
No,
Oh,
neither.
Like that.
man.
It sounds.
Sounds great.
It's
I'll try it.
Oh, depending
Ooh.
on your wood chips. Actually, ones that I bought at Harris Teeter most recently, Jack Daniel's flavor, and it made a delightful chicken. So I'm just letting you know. So
Okay, very
yeah,
nice.
I know. I just pretend I know what I'm doing, but I really just ask my father-in-law. Okay, back to
Good,
weather.
good
Sorry,
father-in-law.
just wanted to bring that up. Oh no, he's amazing. Love you, buddy. All right, so 20 to 25 mile per hour winds for tomorrow. That's not great. Heading into your Sunday morning, I think you still have some gusts to about 20 miles per hour. Truly, I think Sunday morning is a good time to be lazy. I gotta tell my son that.
Tell me twice.
By the way, I will not be here Monday and Tuesday because it's
Okay.
JT's birthday on
Aw,
Monday.
happy
so,
early birthday, JT.
yeah, happy
Oh,
third birthday.
shout-outs.
I guess that I'm spending more time shouting out to my family and extended family. That was not the
This is
plan.
the day to do it.
It's a holiday, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, if your birthday is now until next July 4th, happy birthday, just in case we missed you already. And going forward, here's our future cast. As I mentioned, today is already absolutely delightful. We'll roll through the numbers in a little more detail, but I want to show you how this system off the shoreline is going to affect us. Regardless, a low pressure system brings clouds, it brings rain, and usually we'll pick the winds up. We already showed the winds. Friday, I cruised by. Don't worry about it. No big impacts here. But then watch. Dun-dun. Dun-dun. Just a little bit of rain. Oftentimes, the northern part of a storm system can allow for a quick shower, a thunderstorm. So I think that end of afternoon, early evening from Rockingham down through Lancaster, you could have a quick disturbance. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's going to be a possibility for a turn of your weekend plans. But watch this. By Sunday morning, we are looking at a mostly clear sky going to a mostly cloudy one and even overcast. I think the best chance for rain is east of I-70 I-77 during the morning. But as these systems go, that will then shift west of I-77, and then it volleys back. And I think you will actually see an ample amount of sunshine by the latter part of the afternoon. So we do have an 87 on the forecast. As I mentioned, I feel like Charlotte wants to keep on cruising in the 90s. So this officially would break the stretch. We've been at 15 days above 90 or 90 or above. That would end it, bringing the number up to 17 days through Saturday. But if this system clears out faster and we see more sunshine in the afternoon, it's the exact same case and scenario that we saw before. It'll be hotter. But one thing happens: the tropical moisture arrives. This is actually really crazy to see the change here. So for our dew points, it's going to be excessively different through the weekend. So actually today and tomorrow, carbon copy about how we feel. So whenever you have a dew point that is below 60, look at this afternoon, you're in the decent range. That's decent. It's a little sticky. No big deal. Tomorrow morning, they come up. Dew points are usually the highest in the morning, but then they'll come back down again, where it actually feels comfortable for early July, as comfortable as it can. Still humid. No, it takes a lot to get rid of that. And then by Sunday morning, you're looking at the 60s going to the 70s to almost the mid 70s. 75 is that ew status as far as mugginess goes. That's tropical air. That's like you're walking in the rainforest type of moisture. Well, rainforest is close to 80. And that is going to be a big noticeable difference. So Sunday is going to feel a lot more humid, but then what happens is it's a lasting effect after that. We are hot. We are muggy. We have a daily storm chance, what we deal with pretty much each and every day during the summer. So really you need a high pressure system to dry you out, just as we had, but it came just in time in my opinion, because that's where we're doing the most things. 4th of July, enjoy it. I got the slip and slide already set up.
Awesome.
Great weather for Charlotte FC. Sunday's the only question mark, but I also will highlight, we're not weather alert yet, but if there were a day or a time frame that we have the best chance for severe storms, it's Wednesday and or Thursday. Already we have a likely chance for rain and storms. A front gets a little bit close to us, so those are the days that we're watching for our severe highlighter, and then just not a great day compared to the next two for Sunday.
Okay. There's Myrtle Beach right now. Live picture there. Very pretty.
Can I do it again?
Please.
For now. I did that yesterday. So no, it is gorgeous though. I pointed it out. If you already have plans to go there, say la vie.
Yep.
Go earlier in the day. Yeah, the winds will pick up, the clouds will pick up on you, but the rain might hold off until the evening. And then actually the system will be over Charlotte by Sunday afternoon. So Sunday is salvageable as well. So if you're having a near tropical storm or a tropical storm, this is the best scenario, if that is a thing.
Sure. Yeah,
So-
there is. The best of the worst.
Best of the worst. Yeah, this is the best tropical storm you could have.
Okay. Like the fit, like in the...
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I got blue pants as well.
Oh,
so-
wow. It's a muted red.
Yeah, it's a muted red, or maybe that's faded by the sun. I'm
But-
not sure. I've had this
or,
for 10 years.
You know, it's good. Looking good. Chris Mulcahy
Thank
in
you.
the Live Impact studio. Thank you so much for joining us. And enjoy your long weekend. Happy birthday to JT.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Love being here.
Yay. Okay. Take care. Happy 4th, everybody. Here back in the Live Impact studio. We're coming up on 9:15. So we talked about weather. How about safety? We need to know about it because with all of that gorgeous weather on hand for today and tomorrow, I know a lot of folks are going to hit the lake. Lake life, what you need to know as we talk to troopers there.
South Carolina Troopers and Department of Natural Resources.
There we go. So here's some good reminders for you for either of the Carolinas when it comes to lake life.
So we have July 4th weekend coming up, which is obviously a heavily traveled holiday. A lot of people will be going to our waterways in South Carolina. We expect to see a lot of traffic, people celebrating freedom, and we encourage folks to have a good time. We just want you to have a good time responsibly. Designated driver, use a rideshare service. If you know you're going to be on that water and you're going to be consuming alcohol, we would really like for you to designate a driver to and from, whether you're operating on the waterways or on our roadways. We're trying to reduce fatalities statewide.
And what are some of the things y'all are doing to prevent fatalities and crashes?
So we have stepped up enforcement all across the state for the holiday weekend. So the holiday weekend obviously starts Friday, July 4th. It'll lead into, early Monday morning, midnight, 6 a.m. type times. We know there's going to be a lot of people like I said, headed to our waterways. You know, we got enforcement, our troopers out looking for seat belts, people not wearing their seat belts, distracted drivers, speeding, obviously DUI. You know, that's our big hit is, you know, going after these impaired drivers, whether you're impaired under drugs or alcohol.
Any kind of traffic stop situations, like when you go through,
Yeah, so we're going to have road checks. There's going to be road checks all over, all hours of the day. And what we're looking for is those safety violations. You know, we're checking for driver's license, and we're also looking for alcohol and drugs. You know, our slogan is highways or dieways, that the choice is yours. So we just want to make sure that people are making responsible choices at the end of the day, because we don't want to see anybody hurt. That's our mission and our goal when we go out here.
We're just out here with Highway Patrol. We're partnering with them. They're working on the highway safety side. We're working on the boating safety. Like he probably told you, most of the people, they've got to drive to get here to the lake to put a boat on, so they're going to work that end of it. Once they're on the water, we're going to be working the boat and safety end of it. Busy week coming up, busy weekend with the 4th of July, and our goal is to make sure people can come out here and have fun safely.
and what are some of the specific things DNR is going to be doing on the water?
So this is Operation Dry Water Week. That is a national awareness and enforcement campaign about boating under the influence. We're going to have waterways packed with officers looking for negligent boaters that would be operating impaired, and stuff like that, and enforcing that. And that goes back to what I was saying, we want to make sure people are safe.
And speaking more on just the safety side, not including alcohol, but what are some of the things that the boaters often miss safety-wise?
A lot of boaters, they're in a hurry. You know, and it's not any fault to them, it's just human nature. We get off work, we're in a hurry to get to the lake, and we forget to go check our boat for the required safety equipment. Each boat needs a wearable life jacket, what we call a PFD, personal flotation device, for each person on the boat, and it's got to be of the right type and fit. So if you have a child that's 55 pounds, an adult PFD doesn't work for them. They've got to have one for a child. So a life jacket for everybody on the boat, correct type and fit. A Type 4 throwable device. That is typically a square throw cushion with handles on it. It's made to throw out to somebody if they need it. If you try to throw a regular life jacket to somebody, it just flops and twists around. You can throw the Type 4 like a Frisbee. Each boat needs a fire extinguisher, at least a Class B1 marine fire extinguisher, and some type of sound producing device, a horn, bell, or a whistle to let people know that they need help. People need to make sure that their registrations on their boats are up to date. Make sure that they've taken care of that, that they have their registration card on the boat. Those are things we'd be looking for.
And what are some of the like the amount of people that are going to be on the water?
Oh, it'll be probably the busiest weekend of the year out on the water. I would tell people, just especially at our public boat landings like where we're at now, be patient. Not everybody is as good at launching or loading a boat as you may be. Just be patient with people. Everybody's out here to have fun. It's not a race. Once you're on the water, same thing. Be patient with people. Not everybody may know all the rules of the road per se on the water. If you get in a congested area, like I've said for years and years, you don't have to thread the needle. You can come back off the throttle and take your time.
And what are some of the specific things you're going to be looking out for July 4th?
July 4th, we're going to be looking for negligent boat operation. We're going to be looking for impaired boaters. We're going to be checking boats to make sure they have their proper safety equipment. Because at the end of the day, we want people to have a safe July 4th weekend without any incidents. We don't want to have any tragedy.
Good reminders for us all as you make your way and spend the weekend celebrating the independence of America, 250 years. Okay, this week, not only a busy week preparing for the holiday, but also a busy week for our state legislators and lawmakers, as well, of course, as the country on a whole. Governor Josh Stein signing several bills Tuesday. We brought that to you here on Live Impact News, including, we talked about the PAVE Act for transit, That's for Mecklenburg County, especially affected. But also the omnibus bill, and this is really going to affect PAs in two measures. So with that sweeping health care reform bill that's promising to transform North Carolinians' medical care, that's really going to affect both urban and rural areas for practice. A major shift now specifically in how physician assistants practice medicine in North Carolina. So this morning in the Live Impact studio is PA Truett Smith to talk about these changes. Truett, thanks for joining us here this morning on a holiday. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let me ask you this. Let's talk about a little bit before and after, get people caught up on what this bill means. What do the requirements include before the legislation, and then now what are we going to look to moving forward?
Yeah, so the bill will have an immediate impact on access to care in North Carolina, and the big changes will be it will reduce administrative burden to PAs, and so that administrative burden takes away our time to care for patients. It also will attract qualified PAs from the entire country to come to North Carolina to care for patients as well.
So why did the medical industry, require, adequate medical attention? Why did we need a change?
Well, the change is, so right now we spend a lot of time in doing paperwork, and it kind of removes a lot of that paperwork and just the time involved in completion of that.
What does this mean for telemedicine then, and not having to do so much paperwork?
Yeah, so part of the bill is a medical compact, and so currently there are 18 other states in the compact. I think we will be number 19, but you will be able to complete like one application and apply to multiple states. So in telemedicine, many of the providers who practice telemedicine practice throughout multiple states, and so it will actually really reduce their burden of completing applications in every state.
So does that benefit then both patient and the medical industry, right, as far as
Absolutely.
PAs and care?
Yeah. Telemedicine really opens the doors to be able to treat, especially patients in rural areas or patients in urban areas. It's very convenient to see those providers.
Yeah, for sure. So what do patients need to know then?
So I think patients need to know that their PAs are qualified, and we're here to serve you, and so we're hoping to improve that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think about as far as education goes, then PA programs, the education trying to get to a position where they can be moving forward?
Yeah, currently we have 12 PA schools in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, a lot of those PAs who graduate from those schools do go to other states that maybe have more modern law, and hopefully it'll keep those PAs here. And we really don't feel like the bill will impact the schools because they won't train any different than they're currently training.
Okay, all right. And so hopefully with something like this, is the workforce maybe strengthened then, trying to keep qualified PAs here in the Carolinas, or in North Carolina, I should say?
It absolutely should both attract PAs from outside of North Carolina, but also keep those here who train here.
All right. Anything else we need to know, Truett?
We're just happy that, I want to specifically thank the legislators who were involved in this bill. Mark Hollow, Senator Mark Hollow, he's actually a retired PA, and so
okay.
he was instrumental in getting this bill moving through the Senate and through the House, and I want to thank the governor as well for signing the bill.
All right. Truett Smith, a PA, talking about some of the changes that we could look towards with Governor Josh Stein signing this major bill, and how that is really going to reform medical attention and care in North Carolina. Appreciate your time and insight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, back here as we come up on 9:25 this morning. Let's see. We have a beautiful look at the U.S. Capitol. And we do know that President Trump will be signing the One Big Beautiful Bill later on this morning. As we take a look now, as we anticipate his signing, it's going to clear the vote it was a narrow vote yesterday. So let's go ahead and take a look at that update. Here, this is NBC's Monica Alba reporting on the president's big, beautiful bill clearing the House.
President Trump confident he can sell his signature legislation to the American people.
Yeah, I think it's very popular.
After taking a victory lap outside Washington, touting the passage of his mega bill at an Iowa rally celebrating America's founding.
There could be no better birthday present for America than the phenomenal victory we achieved just hours ago.
While lashing out at Democrats for opposing his so-called big, beautiful bill.
They wouldn't vote only because they hate Trump. But I hate them too, you know that?
The legislation is a major win for the White House after weeks of negotiations and marathon sessions in Congress.
The motion is adopted.
The bill passing 218 to 214, with 2 Republicans joining all Democrats in voting against it. The vote came after Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries spoke for nearly 9 hours, breaking the previous record for the longest House speech in history.
No matter what is on this singular day, we're going to press on.
The bill extends the Trump-era tax cuts from 2017, eliminates taxes on both tips and overtime, and includes billions for immigration enforcement and military spending. It also means cuts to health care programs like Medicaid and Planned Parenthood, SNAP benefits, also known as food stamps, and clean energy tax credits. Faced with some opposition in his own party, President Trump spent hours on the phone and in meetings trying to convince Republican holdouts to get on board. Trump persuading lawmakers like Congressman Andy Harris, who had concerns about the trillions of dollars the legislation will add to the deficit.
But is that caving?
Well, if not, though, you got it. Winning is caving? Well, if winning is caving, then I guess we caved.
Democrats now trying to use the bill to hone their midterm message.
There have to be consequences to these votes.
Okay, and with that, we did have our Vanessa Rufus talking about UNC, to a UNC professor on what this means moving forward. We'll play this interview for you now that happened here on WCNC Plus.
One big beautiful bill, as we mentioned, this just passed both chambers at this point of the Congress. So we wanted to talk about some of the implications of this policy, but also we're just kind of diving into the nitty-gritty of how this legislation got through. We have Eric Heberlig, who's joining us from UNC Charlotte, political science and public administration professor. Thank you so much for being with us here on Live Impact News. We wanted to talk a bit about the passage of this legislation because we had mentioned, you know, the fact that there were a lot of gymnastics that have happened in recent days, in recent weeks to get this through. So I'm just kind of curious your take on how this was able to get done, because we knew there were some holdouts in the Republican Party, and that was threatening the passage.
There were. President Trump was an advocate for his own package. He spent a lot of time calling and meeting with members of Congress, apparently made a number of promises to deal with some of the issues that caused the objections of some Republicans, and they trust him to follow through on that, and that was enough to earn their votes to pass it.
So as far as, you know, the precedence of this bill being passed, I mean, I feel like we don't always see such a sweeping type of, you know, bill getting through with so many kind of different fingers, if you will. Can you talk about, you know, just the scope of the bill and the importance of it as far as, you know, the historical aspects and elements of this getting through?
Well, it's a big bill in terms of its cost. It's a very significant tax package, tax reduction package. Also makes very significant cuts to Medicaid, which is the health care program for the poor. Many of the tax elements of it, though, are of a tax package that was passed in the first Trump administration, but for budgetary reasons, they set a short timeline on it, so now had to vote on it again, essentially, to keep those tax breaks going. So that's an open question about how much economic impact it's going to have, because it's just continuing what's already in place.
No, I mean, we did see some celebration, as the bill finally passed the House amongst a lot of Republican leadership. But we've alluded to the fact that there were some Republican holdouts, within the party who either did not agree with the scope of the cuts, particularly to Medicaid. We also saw some folks who are kind of on the other side saying this is not doing enough to cut. And so, we saw, for example, Senator Tillis, who, his stance on the bill seemingly pushing his political future in a certain direction. Now we see him deciding not to run for re-election after facing some criticism from the president for taking his stance against the One Big Beautiful Bill. We even saw, on the House side, South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman not voting to advance this past a committee. So, I'm curious to see, some of we alluded to it kind of as gymnastics, but the fact that there were a lot of discussions, and even yesterday there was like a procedural vote that was held up kind of to stall to make sure that folks were able to get to D.C., and also holdouts were able to meet directly with the president. I mean, this felt like this was moving fast and furious.
Sure. President Trump made it clear that he wanted this voted on by Independence Day. Kind of a symbolic way of linking patriotism to the passage of his legislation, and they were able to get it done. And I think Senator Tillis's events of the weekend probably helped pull some of those reluctant Republicans in line, that they saw, well, if you cross the president, your career is at risk. So they were willing to swallow their doubts and vote for it and avoid taking on Trump and his supporters in a Republican primary and taking their risk with the general electorate in November.
Now, I mean, we heard from the Democratic side a lot of the concerns. I mean, there were concerns. We heard Democrats.
All right, you are watching a previously recorded interview with a UNC professor breaking down what's next for the Big Beautiful Bill. We'll get back to that recorded interview with our Vanessa Rufus here at 9:31. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Happy 4th of July to you. A lot of people are going to be enjoying the weather, gatherings, cookouts, what have you. And then really talking about summer in general. It is the time to get outdoors. A lot of people like to do that. But we know it's been hot in the Carolinas, and as the Carolinas swelter under the summer heat, many of us are going to feel certainly the physical effects of these extreme temperatures. We talk about staying hydrated and whatnot. But what about the mental health impacts? Recent research showing that extreme weather conditions, including a recent heat wave, are causing anxiety for 21% of North Carolinians. So joining us right now is Adina Godet. She is a licensed clinical social worker with ThriveWorks in Charlotte, who specializes in stress, anxiety, and coping skills. Thanks for joining us here, Adina.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Adina, we talk about physical stress, like I mentioned, those health risks, but explain now how exactly heat affects our mental health.
In so many different ways. I think the first thing that many of us experience is agitation and irritation, because it is so hot that it can be uncomfortable, right? And also, I think a lot of people don't realize when we can't sleep well at night as well because of the heat, we have restlessness, and then that also can cause fatigue throughout the day, and then further irritation. So definitely, I would definitely say those two things, but also anticipatory anxiety, climate anxiety, whether that's from people having to go through natural disasters before, whether it's hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, tsunamis. So they could be having some of the same symptoms as if they went through that. But just in general, again, us being hot, some people can be nervous and scared and kind of worried about their health as well, even if they don't have any health conditions. So,
yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And so talk to me about this research from ThriveWorks, 21% experiencing anxiety. What are you seeing in your practice here in Charlotte?
Okay, so again, climate anxiety, just having anticipatory anxiety. So even if they don't have anxiety, they're having some of the symptoms. So they're a little worried. Some people are also isolating, because they're fearful of how hot it is outside. I mean, it's been about 90 degrees for the past 2 weeks.
Exactly.
And so some people may not have, their fans, or they may not be staying hydrated. So they just get drained easily, so now they've been isolating. And that can cause depression as well. And so, yes, it's a downfall spiral,
Wow, it really is. Yeah, I mean, you talk about that, and I think, people don't want to go outside sometimes, and that definitely can be a thing for isolation, a risk for that. So what are some of the symptoms people should look out for when it comes to, watching our neighbors, elderly, friends, and family?
I think in general, go ahead and just prepare to take care of them, or just look out for them. Check in with them. Even if they don't have any symptoms that they're going through, or don't have any illnesses, I would definitely check in general, because they're older, and we have different family members as well that we just need to go ahead and check on, just to help them out, make sure they're being hydrated, make sure they're staying on their routine, make sure they're getting out, but balancing, getting out instead of just staying inside. So yes.
Yeah, how about kids? We know kids want to go outside and get restless with the summer, no school. If they're staying inside, what is the mental health challenge here?
Well, kids, they're very active. They're more active than adults, and so yes, they do want to go outside. But again, I would just say having that balance. So seeing what they can do, and of course, if you need to, just prepare when they do go outside. So if that's having multiple water bottles, multiple sources of electrolytes, having portable fans. I know I have multiple portable fans. I can't leave without it. So I definitely say have that for them, or even washcloths, little towels and washcloths so that they can cool down and put cold water on, and they can put it on their head, or just use it for when they're sweating. So yes.
Yeah, very good. You're so cheery and lovely. It's great summer energy for us here that are inside this Live Impact studio with no windows.
Not even a window.
Not even a window. Any other maybe specific techniques if we are confined to the indoors and we just can't go outside at all?
Yes, I think, even saying that, I had a client that talked about that, and just saying that she had similar effects as if it was COVID, being on lockdown.
Yeah.
And so, again, watching out for that depressive mode, not being able to go outside, not naturally getting the vitamins from the sun, those types of things. So having little routines that you do inside. So if that's watching your favorite show, so you can get some laughter, or, just get some connection that way. If you're still calling people and checking up on them, whether it's through FaceTime, video chat, or just, regular telephone calls, doing that. And again, I think you're still having that routine. So what is it that you can do? I know some people like to do their makeup inside, so just finding something for you to do in the house if you really cannot go out.
All right, what are you thinking? When should people seek professional assistance or help if it comes to climate-related anxiety?
Oh, okay. So it's easy to say if somebody has a mental illness, or if they passed out or something like that, right? You can go to the doctor and go to the hospital or the ER. However, when it comes to mental, a lot of people overlook it. And so again, if you feel like you've been isolating, or if you feel like you have had that much anxiety to where you're afraid now to kind of go outside, I definitely think those two things, looking out for the anxiety and the isolation and depression, then I would say seek professional help.
All right. And then when it comes to moving forward through the summer and looking ahead, what do you suggest people have in their mind and maybe at home?
Yes, just staying prepared, staying hydrated, again, keeping your portable fans around you, but again, just balancing. If you know that it's going to be too much for you, I would definitely say do one thing a day. If you know you're going outside today, do one thing. Don't make it an all-day event as we usually would during the summer, because again, this heat wave, it's a lot, and you have to take care of yourself, so I don't want you to stay confined to inside, but just be smart about your decisions when going outside.
Oh, totally. All right, where can people get more information, Adina?
Yes, you can actually go to my page on TikTok at Your Healing Buddy, Instagram, Your Healing Buddy Counseling, or Your Healing Buddy _ that's where I will be, and I also work at ThriveWorks.
Okay, very good. Good resources, good information, Adina. We have to remind ourselves sometimes, not to take care of ourselves, but our families. And this heat is definitely a consideration to do that. It causes so many potential issues. All right, good information. Adina Godet from ThriveWorks and My Healing Buddy.
Yes.
My Healing Buddy. All right, let her know that you need her if you need to. All right, thank you. That is 9:40 here in the Live Impact Studio on WCNC Plus. While we talk about July 4th, we do have our animals to take care of as well. And Melissa Nicely with Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control discussing fireworks safety for pets. Our Vanessa Rufus did talk to her about that, fireworks safety, and again, the summer heat. We'll play this for you if you did not get to see this yesterday on WCNC Plus.
Meantime, we're going to turn the page here and talk about an important topic for the summertime in our area, and that's pet safety for 4th of July. Of course, we've mentioned this before, how 4th of July can be a tricky time with the fireworks, scaring pets. They might get away. This is a tough time for shelters where they might have more intakes of pets. And there are really just a bunch of other summertime hazards that you really need to know about as a pet owner. So we have here Melissa Nicely joining us from CMPD Animal Care and Control. Melissa, thanks for joining us today. We
Thanks
appreciate
for
you.
having me in. I really appreciate it.
Yes, your debut in the Live Impact News studio. So we wanted to first and foremost talk about 4th of July because we know that's, of course, tomorrow, but we know the days leading up to and afterwards, you might have folks who are setting off their own fireworks. That can be scary for pets. That can cause some issues for not only the pet owners, but for the shelters as well. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of a double impact there, because what happens is a lot of people just don't realize that their animals are going to be frightened by fireworks and firecrackers and all the popping and the bangs and the booms and that sort of thing. And even some of the dogs that you think are the most bomb-proof, if you will, can, it can affect them, and they can dart out the gate, an open door, and before you know it, a dog that somebody would say, oh, they'll never run away, is running, as fast as they can down the street because they're afraid. And unfortunately, what can happen then, fortunately or unfortunately, I'd like to think that it's fortunate that someone finds them and brings them to the shelter so that we can take care of them and work to get them back home to their owner.
I mean, you say, I kind of get your on the fence feeling about the fortunately, unfortunate, because fortunately we want the dog to be found, right? But we know that the shelter is constantly at max capacity, and so 4th of July, because you might have more pets running away, could be a busy time for y'all over at Animal Care and Control. I mean, do you know the rise in intakes that you might see around 4th of July?
Yeah, generally we see it in dogs, and I've tracked for years. And when I say tracked, I'm using like an old school hash mark type of thing. There was really no way to put it into our computer system, but they're really good about saying, and tracking how many animals come in. When people are coming in to look for their animals, their lost animals, they ask them, was it a frightened by the fireworks or that sort of thing, or was it related to the 4th of July? So generally we can have anywhere from, I think, as low as 6, 7 all the way up to 20 in previous years. And you're right, every week, every day almost, we're putting out that we are so cramped with kennel space for dogs. Like it's coveted. Like we just never have enough. And so there's a couple things that complicate that. So one, we're closed tomorrow on the 4th of July because it's a city holiday. And so that means that there'll be no animals leaving, to go on staycations or foster or be adopted. So then that's going to mean no empty kennels are being emptied tomorrow. Then you've got that rush of animals that usually we do not see until the fall. It's not really the 4th of July that you see it, it's the days following where people have had time to find them, or they've had time that their dog is missing, and then they're going to come in and look for their animals, hopefully, or people are going to find animals and bring them in. So it's really going to be Saturday, Sunday, into Monday and Tuesday that we're going to probably feel the effects of it.
Yeah, so I guess knowing that, just based on what history has taught you about the trends around 4th of July. What are your recommendations? We'll start with recommendations for pet owners, because I also do want to talk about how the community can help too, even if they don't have pets.
Sure, absolutely. So the number one thing as a pet owner, and this isn't just for the 4th, because we also know that animals also, it's 4th of July, but also thunderstorms. Like it seems like almost every evening we get a thunderstorm rolling through.
Yeah.
So it could happen anytime. So you want to make sure that at all times your pets are very protected, and that's by making sure that they have a microchip. It's making sure that you take an extra minute a couple times a year to make sure that you haven't changed your phone number, you haven't moved, so that all the information that is connected to your microchip, so that would be the registration part, is up to date with your most current information. I like to even actually put on the ID tag extra contacts, right? Like, Vanessa, I have you as a contact. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
but
no, I'm happy to.
It's like really,
be
you
part
know,
of that, yeah.
like somebody that you know that your pets would be okay with.
Yeah.
Like, put their phone number on your microchip as an extra contact. That way, if you're on vacation or something crazy. So I always recommend that. Like, don't just put one contact. You know, maybe put a trusted friend that has a key to your house, so that they could bring your animal back, or that sort of thing, or whatever. So the other thing is leading into pet ID tags, right? So there are so many things on the market now that are available to put on your pet or IDs. There are tags that have a QR code that you can put as an extra thing on there, that if you scan it with your phone, you know, everybody has a smartphone now, it's going to open to a page that has all of the pet's information. Some of them even include in our pet tags our pet licenses from Mecklenburg County. So yes, you need to pay a pet license fee if you have a pet, but what's nice about those tags is you get this really nice tag with the logo on one side and a QR code on the back. And I just recently adopted a pet from the shelter, and so when I went to fill out his, you can put, like, if they are diabetic and they need medication, you can put all of that kind of information. But let's boil it down. Honestly, just their name, like my new dog Rex, Rex, and my phone number, because that way it doesn't take anyone with a microchip scanner to have be able to bring Rex home. They can call me and they can say, hey, are you the owner of Rex, because I just found him. And that way anybody can help with getting the animals back home. It doesn't have to be an animal control officer, so that means they don't have to come into the shelter.
Yeah, I mean, that would first and foremost, right, be the goal. Now, let's just say you do get a lot of dogs in, and knowing that you are closed on 4th of July, what would your recommendation be to the public, either, you know, in the days following or whatnot, things that folks can do to be helpful in this situation?
So it's obviously tomorrow's the 4th. So a couple things about your own pets. If you know that your pet is anxious to loud noises and that sort of thing, make sure you're making a really good plan for your pet. Like, make sure that there's lots of things on the market. Your vet is your best answer. Like, there are things that you can give your pet to help calm it down a little bit if you know there's going to be thunderstorms. There's so many things. There's thunder shirts, there's all kinds of things. Also, if you know your pet has those tendencies, make sure you have a plan, especially if you're having a party and you know that that after dark, be home. You know, maybe go out and party and have a picnic during the day, but be home for your pet. Or if you're having a party at your house, I always tell everyone my favorite place to recommend people to put their cat or their dog if they're very anxious is your walk-in closet, especially in your bedroom, because it's muffled with all of the clothes that you have in there. And so it makes a perfect spot to put their bed, maybe put something soothing like their blankets and that sort of thing, maybe even put a radio in there that's playing like soft spa music or something like that.
I want to go in that room.
Yeah. That's really one of my favorite things to recommend, because people don't really think of that space, but it's enclosed. If you think about cats love boxes, so you could even get one of your Amazon boxes and make it like a special little box. And then I always just say, ask yourself, am I going to the fireworks show and I'm taking the dog with me because I think it's going to be fun for the dog, or I think it's going to be fun for me to have the dog?
Yeah.
And if you can't say that your dog is bomb proof and that sort of thing, leave the dog at home. Like, right, leave your pets at home, enjoy it, let them enjoy the comforts and a non-stressed 4th of July. I think your other question with that is, if your animal goes missing, obviously the first place that you want to check is with Animal Care and Control, because we are the municipal shelter for Mecklenburg County.
Yeah.
And you can do that. Our current website is animals.cmpd.org, and you can go on there and you want to look under the lost pets. But I recommend coming down. Vanessa, you've been to the shelter many, many, many times, and the pictures that we take immediately when they come into the system are taken by a webcam, so that we can automatically get them uploaded within the first hour that they're in the building. Yeah. They're not the greatest quality. And
some interesting
right?
ones.
And a lot
like
of
the
them,
finders holding the dog over the counter.
And so I worry that if you have a black cat, right, and we have 13 black cats in there, you're not going to really know with the picture. So come down to the shelter. If your pet is missing, come down to the shelter. Our website does update once an hour, so keep checking it, keep checking back. But please come in person. You know your pet best, and you're going to be able to go, kennel to kennel and look to see if you see your pet there. So that's if you're looking for your lost pet. Also, we know, right, social media is your best friend. Nextdoor, neighbors, through Ring. Put your missing pet out there. There's so many connections that get made with getting the pets back home that way, the pet reunification. Yeah. And then if you have found a pet, you want to do all those things as well, put up flyers everywhere. But you also can do two things. Mm-hmm. You can bring the pet to the shelter, and obviously it will be brought in as a stray, and its pictures and everything will be gone up. But if you're like, I'd really rather foster this pet and try to, find the owner on my own because I feel bad about bringing it to the shelter, that's great, because it's not going to take up a space at the shelter. Yeah. You can go online, or you can call 311 and they can register the found pet. Yeah. So that way it's still out there and people looking, but it's safely in your home as well. And if you have any questions like that, 311 is your best friend to call and ask.
Well, I feel like it's a good time to remind folks as well that I think it's not just encouraged, but it's required that if you do find someone's pet, that you do report it, because I remember doing a story about the ordinances for Charlotte, yes, Mecklenburg County, about feeding someone else's pet. I mean, it gets particular, and you could actually potentially get in trouble if you are holding on to someone's pet and or just like feeding a stray sometimes. Yeah, exactly.
Those are great things to mention. It is a legal requirement that you, if you find a pet, that you report it found. And then really, again, it's up to you whether you'd like to hang on to that pet and do all the things to make flyers, put it up on the neighborhood, put it on all the listings, and then, what is your plan going to be, if you do not. Honestly, if you find an animal and you're like, man, if we don't find who it belongs to, I'd really kind of like to adopt this. Mm-hmm. Honestly, my recommendation would be to bring it to the shelter. It's going to be brought in as a stray, and it's going to be held for 72 hours, which is the legal requirement in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. When it comes in, it's going to get all of its vaccines. It's going to get Bordetella. It's going to get all the things that it needs. And then you can be put on as like an interested party. Yeah. And so when that animal comes up and the due date of the animal, what we call an outcome, right? Not an outcome, but like the due out date is what we call it. So once those 72 hours are up, you could adopt the puppy or the kitten or the cat or the dog or whatever it is, and then it's going to get its spay neuter and it's going to get everything. So it's going to be very economical for you that way, because we're going to provide everything for it, and then you'll pay the adoption fee, which would be a lot less than if you're going to go and get all that done too. And I like it because it's the legal. Everything is legal. They've been held by the agency for their legal 72 hours, and so there's no issues moving forward about whose animal it is.
Yeah. As far as overall summer, I feel like there are a lot of larger topics to touch on. I mean, obviously, we touched specifically on 4th of July and some of the concerns around that. But, you know, having just taken the pups for a walk before I came into work this afternoon, I mean, that was a hot walk. We tried to do the best we can to make sure it was comfortable for the boys, but I feel like that's something that folks need to be reminded of. Hot sidewalks, heat safety, that sort of thing. So what can you share about, you know, some of the bigger issues that you see related to the summer and pet safety?
So I think that the things to be mindful about are what time of the day that you walk your pets. So we know we need to get them exercise, we need to get them potty breaks and that sort of thing, but you really want to take a look at the thermometer and listen to the meteorologist and see what the day is going to be like. We always recommend doing the most exercise like super early in the morning, and then obviously in the evening, even later as the sun is going down. With the humidity and everything that we have here in the Carolinas, it is still super hot even after the sun goes down. So you want to think about also limiting the amount of exercise based on the temperatures that are outside. I like to tell everybody, you know, we've got so many beautiful greenways around. So seek a place that is very shaded. That's going to help. Like if you can go to a trail or go somewhere and walk where it's going to have a lot of tree cover, that's going to also help with your pets. There's other things to keep in mind. You want to make sure that you take water with you if you're going to go out like on a hike or a walk that's not just walking your dog around your neighborhood, like you're going to take them out to exercise. Make sure that you take those kind of things, and just make sure that you're really keeping a really good eye on your dog. You know your dog best, so you are going to know when it's excessive drooling or it's excessive panting, and looking for those types of things. That is stuff you want to be really careful with. And then also the different breeds is important to mention. Because different breeds overheat much quicker than other breeds, and like you'll have like double coated breeds that are going to get a lot hotter a lot quicker. But really, the ones, and I'm going to just say the like common term, any dog that has sort of the smushed in sort of face is a Frenchie, a pug, a Shih Tzu, and those sort of animals. They are going to have more problems than a normal dog with a longer snout is going to have. It's well known that those dogs are the ones that are going to get overheated quickly. We've had some issues with some Frenchies at some of our clinics in the summer. So those are, if you have that type of dog, talk to your vet, because you're really going to want to limit the time that they're out. They need their exercise, but it's more important that you make sure that they're not going to have any breathing things. And so know your breed. Know your dog. Know what to look for. Don't let them get overheated. Their paw pads are a big thing, like we talked about. Make sure that you're always feeling the pavement. I always like to put the back of my hand, because that's sensitive back there. Like you can lay that on the pavement, and there's kind of a rule of thumb, if you can't leave it there without having to lift it because it's burning for like 5 to 10 seconds, then it's too hot for their paws as well. So we like to call that like the pavement or sidewalk test.
I did that today actually, because it was so hot, and I was like, I just don't even know, so I don't want to chance it. But I did the sidewalk test. Unfortunately, it felt fine, but it was a very short walk today. I know that you have Huskies at home personally, so I guess I wanted to get your take, because I know that this can be a high energy breed. So when it is hot, do you have certain maybe brain games that you do inside the house to keep them calm and thoroughly satisfied when it comes to like expending their energy?
So great question, and especially great because we have a new pack member. And he is young. He's barely 2, and so he has a lot more energy than my other 2. My oldest one is 6, so she's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go out and potty and come back in. Where he's like, no, let's run and play. And I will tell you though, they even know, because they're like, let's go, and I'll toss the ball, like at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and he's like, he'll toss it and he'll bring it inside. And then our activity, Vanessa, pretty much looks like Our sectional couch downstairs becomes like a runway for them. And then he jumps over it and he runs up the stairs and he runs back the stairs and he does this whole path again. He is definitely getting his energy out, but honestly, I do. I take a ball upstairs in our hallway and I toss the ball to him, you know, so that he can get some exercise. And then we have tons of little games. Because I like to tell this story, and I'll keep it brief, but a trainer that used to be our trainer at the shelter many, many years ago is still one of my very favorite people to ask questions. And I had all this guilt because I used to be a recreational runner, but it was long distance. And I used to feel like I had to run my Huskies like certain amount of miles every day or else they weren't getting what they needed.
Yeah.
And she told me, Melissa, don't be so hard on yourself. The mental stimulation that they get by spending time with their owner and working a puzzle or working a toy, a chew toy, or a Kong, or just the interaction that they have with you, like maybe you brush them, you know, or whatever, that is just as important and sometimes more important, actually spending that quality time with them than taking them on like a 2-mile walk.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you shouldn't exercise, especially breeds, you know, that are working breeds and that sort of thing, but you certainly can find other things to do with them that will mentally stimulate them. And Huskies are really part of your pack, so they love being with their people. So that's kind of a little bit of insider information on the Huskies, but they are air-conditioned dogs. Everybody always asks me, how do you own Huskies in the South? And I'm like, just like we do, you know, I always make sure that if it's too hot for me, it's going to be too hot for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we mentioned, you know, some folks might be wanting to get out and about, you know, as it is safe to do with their pet. One of the favorite things that we love to do in our house is go up to the mountains and go hiking and such. But, you know, when we go, we're putting on bug spray. So I feel like it's really important to talk about what sort of, you know, pests that you need to be watching out for when it comes to your pet, and what do folks need to be doing to protect them?
So obviously in the South, mosquitoes are a big issue, and a little bit differently around the country. And one of the things that we find that a lot of people, because so many people are moving to Charlotte from different areas of the country, that a lot of people are not really familiar with the fact that pretty much we need to keep our dogs, and obviously cats can get heartworms as well. We want to keep all of our animals on heartworm preventative, and pretty much I do mine year round because I just don't have a trust that I'm going to remember the months to do it. So I do a pill, and mine is a combo, so it's the flea, the tick, and the heartworm all in one. And I feel good about doing that because I know they're protected every single month when I give it to them. There are different things on the market now that you can do that, but the biggest thing is to know that mosquitoes, when they bite a dog, can cause heartworm disease, and it's a deadly disease. And a lot of people aren't even aware, you know, because perhaps they are from North Dakota and maybe they don't have a mosquito problem or somewhere, but I've definitely heard people moving in and they just really don't know a whole lot about it. That is something that you need to do, in my opinion, every month. But the best recommendation that I can give is talk with your veterinarian and decide what method is right for your pet, because sometimes you can get vaccines now, I think, that you can get, and it's good for X amount of months or that sort of thing, so you don't have to remember that monthly pill.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I should mention too, just because we had experience dealing with heartworm with our senior pup who we adopted from CMPD Animal Care and Control, Rocky River, he did come heartworm positive. So he came into the shelter already heartworm positive, and by multiple accounts from, you know, medical professionals, it was on the advanced side, and it was hard for him to breathe. I mean, heartworms literally are worms that will grow inside the chambers of the heart until the heart can no longer pump because it's so full of worms. So it's really a gruesome kind of illness when you think about, and it's preventable. So I mean, folks don't have to subject their pets to that if you know, if they can do the preventatives. Really quickly, I did want to make sure that we were touching on the kitties too, because I know we talked a lot about dogs. Y'all have so many different animals though over at the shelter. even the barnyard animals, but I digress. I do want to talk about kitties because I know it is kitten season, and how are the kennels looking for the kitties? And I know at some points you have bottle babies. Do you still have bottle babies right now?
We do.
Yeah.
So we still definitely have a need for fosters. So if you love kittens, please become a foster.
Yeah.
And you could foster, and you could take home if they have a mom that's nursing. You can do that. You can take home the orphans that just need bottle feeding, or you can take home the ones that are past that stage. If bottle feeding every 2 to 3 hours is not in your schedule, we get it. You can also then take the ones that have come off of, are weaned and on food, and they just need to gain that magical weight to get to that magic number that they can have their spay or neuter. So there's various that you can do it. And yes, I just saw an email earlier about the fact that our kitten rooms are super full.
Oh, okay. So before we wrap things up here, how can folks best learn about the various programs that you have, whether it is the adoption program or fostering or staycation, or even if they just want to look on the website and see what kind of animals do they have right now?
So the best way to look ahead and find out all the information about our different programs is to go to our website, which is animals.cmpd.org. And that will be changing soon as we've made a little bit of a move and a transition, but obviously that will connect and move forward. So animals.cmpd.org, and you can look at everything that you mentioned there, how to staycation, how to foster, how to volunteer, and how to adopt.
Yeah, fabulous. Melissa Nicely with CMPD, well, currently CMPD Animal Care Control, but as you alluded, the fact that it will be eventually separating from the police department.
It did.
And so Charlotte Mecklenburg, Animal Care and Control,
on
fantastic.
July 1st.
Oh, that's right. We're in July. Of course. Thanks so much for being here in the Live Impact News studio.
Thanks for having me.
And that was a previously recorded interview from our Vanessa Rufus talking about public pet safety and just protection for the fireworks. Wanted to bring you a live picture here right now at 10:05 on Live Impact News at Myers Park. We do have our photojournalist Mason Foster out there who is covering this, celebrating our nation's birthday there, and it looks like a lot of red, white, and blue with the neighbors and the local community. This is Queens University Clock Tower on Radcliffe Avenue. Everyone is encouraged to enjoy, come dressed in your best Independence Day attire. You can decorate your bikes and scooters, although I think people are already signed up for that. The dogs are out, the babies, the strollers. I love it. Liking all the convertibles. It's perfect convertible weather and just to sit there on the lawn and take part. So it does look like, let's see, the information we have, festivities beginning here, just getting underway right at 10 o'clock. And then the parade, Carlene, starts leaving at 10:30. So we will live stream this on our secondary channel until about 11. So we'll get you, those first images when things are on the move. But just wanted to take a little sneak peek here. Ooh, look at that classic car. That's a beauty. Here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Enjoy that as we take a look. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to take a little listen, see what's happening there. And again, if you do have the WCNC Plus app on your TV, we will show you some of those moving images here come 10:30 or when that parade starts. Staying on this July 4th vibe as we are going from one hot dog and other dogs from Vanessa's interview, we're talking about the actual hot dog, the ones you eat. And today, a big tradition, the nation's largest hot dog eating competition that is going to get underway around 11 o'clock.
I think so. It's usually around lunchtime.
It's around lunchtime, an appetizer for folks who want to eat more hot dogs a little bit later on tonight, maybe. But, our Nick Sturdivant did talk to Patrick Bertoletti to talk about how he is preparing for this hot dog eating contest. He did win it last year because Joey, who is the reigning Joey Chestnut, the reigning champ, who's won year after year after year, wasn't there. But now he's coming back to the competition. All right, so what does that mean for Mr. Patrick? Well, let's get a little insight on this previously recorded interview with our Nick Sturdivant. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+.
All right. 4th of July, I was bragging earlier in the show that, James and I were kind of bragging. I'll put James into this, that we're both off on Friday, 4th of July. It's okay, Carlene. It's fine. It's fine. Look,
Everybody, I'll be here. Don't worry.
But a big tradition for 4th of July, and Carlene can watch this from work.
Again, doubling down.
I promise I'm not trying to rub it in. It's the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest comes back to the Coney Island stage again, July 4th. A big contest, a big tradition. I've been watching it for years. Yeah, that's tough. Be a competitive eater, it's tough. I mean, man. And we have none other than Patrick Bertoletti here on the show. Patrick, before I let you talk, I want to list your resume for those who are not familiar. We're speaking with a world champion, the world's second ranked competitive eater, 58 hot dogs in 10 minutes, and for years, the coveted Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest Holy Grail champion. Eluded him until last year. He won. He is your 2024 Nathan's champ. I guess my next question, man, how did I do with that intro?
You got it. Nailed it. Thanks for having me on today, by the way.
Of course, man. Thank you for your time. So I guess we'll start here. When did you fall in love with competitive eating, or when did it become a thing in your life?
It was a lifelong affliction of just overeating. But once I turned 19, I did my first event, and I realized how to monetize it. So I'm 40 now, and it's been 20 plus years of just eating a lot, getting paid, and seeing the world. Life's been very good to me.
All right, we got some folks who are in the studio right now who are jealous of that lifestyle. It just sounds like a dream. Getting paid, eating for a living. How do you go about training?
Practice. I like to practice with the food. So this year I've eaten so many hot dogs prepping. I'll do food and liquid training. My stomach can hold a lot. So it's just a question of getting full in the 10-minute competition, which is like the hard part, really.
All right, so are there I guess contests that you get more nervous than others? Obviously, Nathan's is like the big one, but like, do you get nervous going into a contest at all?
I get nervous every time. I always feel like I have to go to the bathroom right before, but I think that's a good thing. I think that's anxiety drives me to do better, but Nathan's is the biggest one, and I get very nervous before that one.
Let's start from last year when you won. So did you just know going into the competition, like, all right, man, I got it this year, man. I've been doing this for some time now. Like, obviously Joey Chestnut was not in last year's competition, but man, like, this is my year to do it. What was your mind frame going into that competition?
Yeah, last year I knew he wasn't going to be there, and I'm good friends with Joey. But I knew that if there was ever a chance for me to win, it was that, and I had to step up. And it was just a determination and drive that I've never really been able to harness before. So last year, just trained my butt off, and everything seemed to line up. He's going to be back this year, so it's probably not going to happen again, but you never know. We'll see.
Oh, come on, dude. No, nah, man. It might happen. I know Joey is back.
It might.
But do you this training shift? Do you do anything different knowing that Joey's coming back this year?
It's actually better for me that he's coming back because there's less pressure, so I can fly in under the radar again. I'm still anxious and nervous going in, but that, like I said, that always happens, and I'm motivated, and that's all that really matters. And I'm ready to go.
All right, so we have one of our producers, Jeb Goldman, he's 25. guy. He is looking to get into competitive eating. I think his first contest is a pizza eating contest. Any advice for a young guy like this who's looking to etch out a career for himself?
I always tell people don't do this, but if you're still going to do it, enter an event, see how you do, and just I would look up online for restaurant challenges. That's always a good way to do it. You know, go in, eat the biggest burrito, get it for free. That's a good place to start.
All right. Okay. He's in the studio right now, so he heard some of that advice. All right, man. Anything you want your fans to know going into this big contest on Friday?
I think they're going to tune in and don't watch me too closely because it's not the prettiest to watch me eat the hot dogs very quickly. I'll just say that.
I do have a follow-up to that. So when you're doing these contests, are you strictly on the food? Because I feel like if I'm in that contest and I'm look over and I see somebody stuffing hot dogs or wings or whatever, I'm going to get grossed out and I'm just going to lose all focus. How do you maintain that focus?
Yeah, I always like to say if you're tasting the food, then you're not having a good day. So like, it doesn't matter what I'm eating. I'm locked in, and it just takes years of training and prep. And those factors don't matter. You know, you show up, you eat, and it's just 10 minutes of pure focus. That is probably the hardest part, is staying focused for the whole 10 minutes. You know, you start to get full, you slow down, your muscles get tired. So that really is the hardest part.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's Patrick Bertoletti here, world champion. Thank you for your time. You've been so generous with your time, and good luck on Friday. We're going to be rooting for you here on Live Impact News, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today. Have a great rest of your week.
You too, man. Oh, man. Awesome interview there.
And good advice for Jeb.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Jeb, did you learn anything?
I learned lots.
Okay.
I'm ready to take it, 2 fistful of pizzas deep.
In case you didn't hear him, he's ready to. I guess hop on the mic real quick.
Yeah, come on.
All right, Jeb. I just want to see where you're at with this, man, because we haven't checked in a while on competitive eating. So, okay, how are you feeling after that interview? He gave you some really good advice.
I'm gonna say inspired. So my thing is I've been training for pizza.
Okay.
So he does hot dogs. I do pizza. Thank you.
What type of pizza?
It's gonna be cheese. So for those of you who don't, there's a restaurant called Benny Pinello's.
Okay.
They do a 28-inch pizza challenge. If you can finish the pizza, you get a cash reward, you get a shirt, and your picture on the wall. So I've been training for about 2 years now. I can do about 22 inches of pizza comfortably. So I'm about 6 inches away from my goal. I'm going to step in there, and I'm going to crush it. And I appreciate him sharing his advice. This is exactly the way he said he started, restaurant challenges. So I'm looking forward to taking that and hopefully growing it into something amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, you see it in his eyes. He's locked in. That kid is
I'm dedicated.
Focused.
I'm ready.
He is focused.
You heard it here first on Live Impact News.
I don't think I've ever seen Jeb that locked in before.
I've been training for years.
He's pretty locked in.
People do marathons and swim and bike stuff.
You eat.
I'm gonna be killing 28-inch pizza in one sitting, and I'm looking forward to it.
He is locked. James, you said ouch. Oh man! All right. Look, we look forward to it, and man, I'm proud of you, Jeb. I'm proud of you, man. This is big. This is big. He's going to travel the world, eat food, and make money.
It's gonna be me, Joey, like we're all gonna be up there.
Patrick, I called him Pat. I don't even know him like that, but I call him Pat. I call him Pat. We're on Pat basis.
Yeah,
He's on the show.
He's doing the show.
I mean,
we're best buds now.
I mean, y'all call me Nick.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not my whole name.
Are we not buds?
We are. That's what I'm saying. Like once you get into the studio, just call me Nick. Right. Disregard Nicholas. But all right, okay. So I know what I'm doing for 4th of July. Carlene, watching the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. That was a great interview. You can check that interview out shortly on our website and on YouTube.
All right, you're watching Live Impact News here at 1017. Thanks for joining us here on WCNC Plus. We have some special guests right now in the studio as I want to talk about the president. Of course, he is preparing to sign his one big beautiful bill later today. The House passed the bill yesterday in a narrow vote, 218 to 214, and among the changes, the bill's going to cut deeply into Medicaid. So despite an urgent appeal on Capitol Hill, our group who we have here in studio, it's a good one. It is the group Little Lobbyists, families of children with complex medical needs, for a better term, Stacy, were unable to stop the bill's passage. And this morning we are joined by two members of the group, Stacy Staggs here to right in front of me, and then Alexis Stadler, both who traveled to Washington last month, right, to make their case for their daughters. We have Emma, who's next to Stacy, and Kinsley. Hi girls. How are you? How's everyone doing? We thank you for coming in on this July 4th holiday, everybody. Stacy, talk to me about the vote yesterday. You must have been prepared in some way, one way or another. What was your reaction when you first learned about it?
Yes, absolutely. We are always prepared as medical parents. It's a requirement of our lives.
Sure.
So while we are always looking at what we expect will happen, we're prepared for alternatives. It was pretty clear to us being on the Hill just Tuesday, right?
No, we drove down Tuesday night and we were on the Hill on Wednesday.
Okay.
We were back and forth to DC twice this week, so all the days are blurring together a little bit.
One big week.
Okay.
Wow,
Thank you.
tireless. Your group, Stacy, tell me how and when you organized or when this organized. Yeah.
I love to share this story.
Okay.
So the Little Lobbyist origin story was what we're calling it. In the summer of 2017. After Trump had been elected to his first term, and he did campaign on ending the Affordable Care Act, which would be devastating for families like ours and really all Americans. In the spring of 2017, the House actually took that action and they repealed the Affordable Care Act. So it had to go to the Senate. Now, on that day, I remember a mix of fear, panic, and anger. How could this happen? I reached out on social media and I found a number of other families who were also feeling similar things. Some of them were near in the DC area. And my friend, Elena Hung, who is now the executive director of Little Lobbyist, she lives in Maryland and said, you know what if we just went down to Capitol Hill and see if anybody wanted to talk to us. So she and her friend, Michelle, and their kids and their mobility equipment, their service animals, their portable oxygen tanks, just rolled up to Capitol Hill. And again, didn't have any appointments, but just hoped they might find somebody who wanted to talk to us. And they did. They absolutely did. There were a number of
Klobuchar there.
Yeah, Democratic senators in particular who were interested in hearing our stories. So at that point, we did not have the name yet, but we did have a reporter following us that day. Oh, Emma for the Senate. We did have a reporter following us that day who then wrote an article and dubbed us the Little Lobbyists. So we're not actually licensed lobbyists, we're just families. And that one day, that was supposed to be just one day lobbying on the Hill, has become hundreds at this point. Both through Trump's first administration, all the way through Biden's administration, and now again, of course, as we're trying to protect Medicaid, because it's the services that keep our kids healthy, safe, and alive in our homes.
Alexis, tell us about your daughter and how this bill, now going to pass, how this will affect your family.
So this is my daughter Kinsley, who we call Sunshine in human form because she is so full of light. She was sick from the time she was born, and we had to fight really hard to actually get her even approved for the Medicaid waiver, Cap C in North Carolina. We fought for about a year to get her approved for that, and it was life-changing for us in ways where we were able to get therapies, her wheelchair, things that our private insurance that we pay for does not cover. And then at 3 years old, Kinsley was also diagnosed with brain cancer on top of everything else. And during her cancer treatment, because we had Cap C through Medicaid, we were able to do a lot of things at home that she would have had to be in the hospital for if we didn't have Medicaid. So IV antibiotics, IV nutrition, because her GI system was completely paralyzed and she couldn't eat through her feeding tube anymore. All of these things where she would have had to be in a hospital 24/7, we were able to do at home with the help of having nursing that Medicaid pays for in our home, so that she could continue being part of her community and being able to be with her friends and her her big sister and all her dogs, and being at home in her space. And now, I don't have the figures in front of me for North Carolina specifically, but back between 2010 and 2012, when there were Medicaid cuts that were not nearly as deep as the cuts that are going to be happening now, home and community-based services were the first thing to go. And Cap C, which is what our children are on, is a home and community-based service, because these are considered optional services in the state. So if they're looking to cut something, the first thing that's going to be cut is optional. And these are our children who are getting to be in their community, not only survive, but thrive, make friends, go to school, do all of these things because of Medicaid. And now we're looking at possibly having to, if her Medicaid gets pulled, me having to quit my job and stay home with her and be her nurse 24/7, because she cannot be without a nurse, or my husband or I, because we are the only ones who are trained enough to do her care.
Yeah, I can't imagine what you do now. What are you guys going to do? What's the next plan or next step?
Yes, well, until the vote yesterday, our plan was to stop it by talking with legislators and letting them meet our children and hear our stories, and hopefully accessing the empathy and humanity that exists in everyone, most people, and just help them understand the impact of their votes. I mean, that's always been our charge, is to put a face to healthcare, and the votes that they're taking in Washington, D.C. have human impact, of course. And that's true. That's true for all of the votes that they do. Now that it has passed and is likely to be signed by the White House, our charge changes to two different things. We're now going to be focused on harm reduction, as we're working with the state legislatures through their budgeting process. Same thing, we'll be going to Raleigh, we'll be talking with the legislators, we'll say, these are the kids that you're voting on, and here's what will happen to them if they don't have the services that they need. We'll also be focused very heavily on accountability. For the Republicans in Congress who voted in favor of this bill, that's a choice that they made. They did not have to make that choice. And as midterms approach, of course, we have a lot of work to do, and that will include making sure everyone knows that they voted against the will of their constituents and against families like ours.
When you think, and you guys were only in Washington just days ago, the lobbying experience, and you brought the kids, and I mean, to bring everything, not only is that, I mean, a burden for any person to do a road trip like that with fully functioning and healthy families, but what was that like, and how do you march forward?
We actually, when we went to D.C. last week, we had a horrific experience in the airport, and we were stuck in the airport for hours with suitcases full of medical equipment, all of these things, got to the hotel at 2 a.m. and then woke up the next day and went to the Hill. And I think when you put medical moms who have been through all of this, and we're watching our children's health care possibly be stripped away, there's nothing that's going to stop us. Even the extra, all the luggage, the back pain from carrying everything all over Capitol Hill, it's none of it is going to stop us from keep doing the work to make sure that our kids have what they need.
Absolutely. I'll share too that when the Senate voted, that must have been Tuesday, the first thing that happened is Alexis messaged me and said, are we getting in the car? And I said, okay, let's do that. Gathered, again, we had just come back on Sunday, so I grabbed the top of the clean laundry, so it was the same clothes. We drove up, it was about 5 until 1 a.m. We drove through a terrible rainstorm that night, and then asleep by 2, alarm set for 6, back on the hill at 8 a.m. I'll be honest, the kids handle it better than the adults.
Okay. Yeah, that many times that's the case, isn't it?
They were, of course, playing with each other and just happy to be doing something kind of interesting and new, whereas we're the ones going, okay, here's what has to happen next. We're keeping track of formula feeds, and are we on track with our medicine doses? When we landed in D.C. the first time, it was also an electrical storm, and the airport couldn't pull luggage off the planes, and we had to check Kinsley's wheelchair. So the first response from the airplane was, just come back tomorrow and get your luggage. We were like, it's her wheelchair. We're here until it becomes available. So we went down to baggage claim and sat for another 2.5 hours while Emma ran circles around the baggage claim, sat in random people's laps just to say hi. Kinsley was singing songs, and as the luggage started coming off the belt 2.5 hours later, everyone was cheering for each other when they found, not just our flight, but other flights that had also been impacted. We're high-fiving strangers going, great job, now you can go
Victory.
Where you're going.
Yeah. So you're smiling, and your energy is so positive. Really, amazing what you're going through, what you went through, what happened yesterday. Mm-hmm. How do you do it? One, as parents that have to work and support your families, help do that, and be mother and medical moms, as you say. How do you do it?
I think I took some advice from the show Bluey yesterday. There's
You
like Bluey? Yes, we love Bluey, and it was a checklist: have a good cry, dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and keep going. The show must go on. Mm-hmm. So I had a really good cry. I let the anger hit for a little bit.
Keep going.
You keep on going.
You keep on going, and that's the thing. Grief. Two things can be true, and grief can coexist with joy. And I think we need to focus on the joy of our children and what they bring to the world, and showing that to the world, and what the legislation they're passing can possibly impact all of these things that they get to do in their community. Years ago, if she didn't have medication, she wouldn't have been able to go to school. She just graduated kindergarten. So, getting to letting the joy coexist with the grief, and being able to say, you know what, this is terrible, this is awful.
I'm in first grade now.
You are in first grade now. That, we're going to be able to say, we're going to just keep going because we don't give up.
Stacey, that's what you're doing? Just keep on going?
Oh, absolutely. I would say I'm fueled by joy and spite and coffee. We'll sleep when the work is done. And we have a lot to do still before the midterms. But I'm telling you, on Wednesday, when we were in the House side of the Capitol, we had 19 people. It included 5 kids who use wheelchairs and our parents. I don't think we had a nurse with us.
No, I think we were all. No, we did have a nurse we had one nurse with us.
Yes, we did. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So what is really magical is seeing the kids interact together. They remember each other from the last visit that we've done. They're high-fiving. Everyone's talking about how big each other has gotten. What grade are you going into? Do you like this game on your tablet? And seeing the kids interact is, just
priceless.
Heaven for me. Especially kids who don't have access to other kids with wheelchairs or, feeding tubes. All the kids had a feeding tube this time.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that. We're showing each other cool backpacks. I have a video I can share of wheelchair races down the hallway.
Yes. Kinsley does not she's the only child at her school with a wheelchair, so like she doesn't get to interact with other kids with wheelchairs often. So she's racing down the hallway of the Capitol building with her new friends, and they're not right now. No, not right now. Yeah. So they, and even between Sunday when we came home and Wednesday when we went back, other moms are saying, I've seen such a difference in her and her starting to verbalize and advocate for herself. Like I was doing an interview and she started speaking up and saying, yeah, I need my nurses. And speaking up for herself. And I think it's important for them to find that voice and be able to advocate for themselves, because that's the goal eventually one day. Like I'll never stop advocating for her, but eventually I want her to be able to use her own voice and say, this is what I need and this is what you're doing that's going to harm me and my friends.
Yeah, she's doing it. She's doing it here in the Live Impact studio right now, Kinsley. I love it. What do you want our viewers to know about your mission?
I would love for everyone to know who their state legislators are, what district they live in, and even more importantly, our elected leaders need to know who we are. So name recognition, conversations, eventual relationships. I mean, I'm friends at this point with multiple people in the state legislature and even at the federal level. And that's because I summoned my courage, dialed the phone, entered an email, and said, hey, could we talk? So I think that more people being more active and more participatory in not just the election process that happens every year, but also the day-to-day, like learning about what's going on in Raleigh right now regarding the budget and how that is going to be impacted by the vote that happened yesterday. So I think if we can take anything away from today, it's you've got to reach out, you've got to get involved. You have to keep the conversation going, whether it's the kid's teacher at school, or for us it's the therapist or the nurses. Just talk about what is going on, what's at risk. And you'll find that there are a lot of good people who want to help. They're just they're not sure how to get started. So my advice is pour a cup of coffee or whatever you drink in the morning, take a few deep breaths, and dial the phone.
All right. I mean, outside of politics, I think just the message of family and strength and resilience and moving forward is such a takeaway for anybody to take,
Our kids should be at home just like every kid should be in their families' lives with their toys and their comfy bed, and the things that make a family are what we're working to preserve. It's not an exaggeration to say that our daughters are in harm's way because of this bill. In multiple ways. If it's not even just one thing. It's not just health care. It's not just Medicaid that they're eligible for. It's the risk of being taken from their home and placed in a skilled nursing facility or a nursing home, because institutions that were operating very shabbily in as recently as the 80s, they don't exist anymore. They've been closed because they found out that people being at home in their community gives better results, and by the way, it's a whole lot less expensive. I mean, we throw around these gigantic numbers, more money than I'll ever see in my life, but it is the lives of our kids. They deserve to be at home with us, and we want to be home with them and have our play dates and go to the pool. I would love to have met Alexis and Kinsley under different circumstances, but we are made to do this work because there's a mortal risk for the lives of our kids, and whether our family remains intact or not, somebody somewhere is going to be harmed. I hope it's not us. I hope it's not you. I don't want it to be anybody.
We're not just doing this for our kids, it's for all kids who benefit from programs like this. And a lot of people are saying to me, like, internet trolls like, oh, if your child is legitimately disabled, they're not going to lose their coverage. But that's not necessarily true, especially the fact that our state doesn't have a budget right now. And because these programs are optional, they're the first thing to go. And we're starting to make plans to backup plans and say, like, okay, can we stop, make sure that we're rationing our supplies that Medicaid pays for. Yes, honey. We will go to the pool.
She said the magic word.
Yes.
Pool. She knows.
Yeah, like that's what we'd honestly prefer to be doing with our summer. But we packed our kids up and went to DC and put our lives here on hold so that we could fight for our kids and all the kids like them.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate your time and letting us know about your work, tireless work as advocates and little lobbyists and moms. And, it takes a village. The studio is a small studio. There's like 3 or 4 other people outside of the studio, including a nurse for medical support. So we thank you for coming in. Keep us posted as far as your efforts go. And Kindley and Emma, nice to meet you. Enjoy the pool.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we're going to go to the pool now.
It's time to go to the pool.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
All right, appreciate you guys. Little lobbyists coming into the Live Impact studio on this 4th of July, Independence Day, as we celebrate 250 years. I'm going to throw to a story right now so we can help shuffle this family out on Charlotte having the name Sharon for many of our roads, right? Sharon Amity, Sharon Road, Sharon Forest, Sharon Lakes. Our Larry Sprinkle checked into it. He has a story now for you here on WCNC Plus. Thanks for watching Live Impact News.
All right, let's come back home because we have a special guest here. A great guy. Look, this is his first time here in the studio in the afternoon.
Special is putting it lightly.
I call him Larry the Legend.
He's legendary.
You may know him as Larry Sprinkle.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Or 40. Or 4040.
Are you talking about my birthday, 40th birthday? Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Larry the Legend, a.k.a. Larry Sprinkle, is here. Larry, you're never comfortable when I call you Larry the Legend. You don't like that at all.
Keep going. You can say it. I'm not. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Before we get to your story, I just want to catch up. How are you doing, man?
Doing great. Just hanging out. I'm still.
Okay. All right, guys. It looks like our picture froze for a moment there. We are still getting our friends escorted out. Oh, okay. We have it back. Here we go on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, the magic of live.
Lightly.
I call him Larry the Legend.
He's legendary.
You may know him as Larry Sprinkle.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Or 40. Or 4040.
Are you talking about my birthday, 40th birthday? Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Larry the Legend, a.k.a. Larry Sprinkle, is here. Larry, you're never comfortable when I call you Larry the Legend. You don't like that at all.
Keep
All right, you know what? We are going to give that a little bit of a rest and let you know, or actually tune now back to Myers Park. The parade started about 10 minutes ago. Let's go ahead and take you out to Myers Park. July 4th parade here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say with one. They are like a direct consumer. My concern is that some of the higher end ones by like Trek and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, it's done. A lot of it, I wonder if a lot of it's like marketing related, romance, storefronts, and all that stuff. Like the Rad Power Bikes, it seems like you can get into they do in South Shore. They have one place in
All right, let's go find the blue. There's another brand, I can't remember the name of it, it's some weird name. It's like some California company. It's the same.
Elizabeth. Hey. Good. How are you? Good. Happy 4th. Happy 4th. We're just scooting along here.
I think everything's kind of.
Let's all stick together, though. Okay.
All right, and that is a little bit of the parade happening in Myers Park right now. It looks like that will be taking place here for most of the morning, but our Mason Foster does have to leave that area. By the way, at 10:46, I will be back here at 12:30 because Nick Sturdivant is the lucky dog, and he has to, take the holiday off like many of you. So enjoy the 4th of July as we are celebrating the holiday with you here in the Live Impact studio. Right now, I want to get to a staff member with The Athletic, Tom Bogert, and he discussed with our Danielle Stein a deal. A major deal? Carlene, what's this deal about?
The Charlotte FC has sent Patrick Ellemain to Derby County in a major transfer deal.
Okay.
So it's a big deal for our hometown team here.
All right, they're playing here tomorrow too anyway. All right, so this is Danielle Stein with Tom Bogert on this major deal on Charlotte FC.
All right, we have the news that a lot of Charlotte FC fans have been kind of on the edge of their seats waiting for, and who better than Tommy Scoops, as we like to call him, Tom Bogert, just recently posted the news that Patrick Agyemang's sale to Derby County is official. Tom, what can you tell us about that?
Agree Derby County over the transfer of Patrick Agyemang. The deal is in the region of $8 million plus $2 million in add-ons and a big sell-on percentage for Charlotte FC, which is key because they still believe in Patrick Agyemang and they believe he's still developing and he has another move and another level to get to. This has been a long time coming. There was an offer in the winter that was around $4 million, so Charlotte did things right by waiting until now. Derby County has been pushing very, very hard. This bid kind of came in last week, and Patrick Agyemang wants to go to Derby County, but there were several other clubs, several big clubs that were saying, hey, like, we need to wait until we sell a player or we need to get the finances right. There was a lot of like, hey, we're going to bid, just don't accept an offer yet. And Charlotte kind of held out as long as they could, and they accepted the Derby County offer, and Patrick Agyemang is getting the move that he wants.
Yeah, so, I mean, you said they were maybe waiting for a move. Nothing largely has happened. So what do you think it took until right now that made them go pen to paper?
It just makes sense for everybody. For Patrick Agyemang, it takes away any question mark of if I'm going to go, where I'm going to go, when I'm going to go. Like he's greenlit this Derby County project. He wants to go, so he was kind of ready for that. For Charlotte FC, while honestly, I think that, maybe they could have waited, but like then that gets really dicey. The personal relationships, again, between the club and Agyemang remain strong. They love him. But, how it goes in this business, the club and the players' side, they're not always going to see eye to eye. So this ends up being a good compromise between the two. And I do think that there's a risk if this dragged out any longer, if Charlotte tried to hold it, maybe Derby County goes and tries to sign somebody else, and then things get really, really bad. So I think it just made sense for everybody. Charlotte held on as long as they could, and now Patrick Agyemang is very close to this move. And I do want to say it's all agreed in principle. They still need to do the final details. Everybody I've talked to is confident, but just want to cover myself here in case something falls through.
Absolutely. Pat's story has been pretty well documented now. I talked to him before the season started because even at that time, like you mentioned, there were some rumors already about being linked to some clubs in Europe. And he was pretty candid in telling me, that's obviously every player's dream is to go play in Europe with some of the best in the world. Just watching that progression from D3 going up to D1 and then, of course, ending up with Charlotte FC. How cool is that story to see him now maybe taking this next step?
It's unbelievable. Hey, as a former D3 athlete myself, I'm always going to be using that detail for Patrick Agyemang. But listen, man, like we talk about development in this country, we talk about professionalizing it with the academies in MLS and USL and elsewhere. That is the route for most players, and that is a modern way. That is the best way for most players. But the beauty of this game, the beauty of this country is not everybody's going to get caught in that net. Some players are going to be overlooked. Some players are going to develop later. Even with Patrick Agyemang, he started at D3 school and then he transferred to D1. And even when he went to the D1 school, it wasn't UVA. It wasn't a traditional powerhouse. And it's a credit to him for everything he's worked for never giving up, for always believing, no, I'm the guy. I'm going to make it. This is my dream and I want it. Like when he was playing for the U.S. national team in Connecticut and he was talking about, I used to walk to this stadium with my family. Like this is just an incredible bookend. And Charlotte FC as well, like they drafted him. There's it's much more important to have a functioning academy, but you can still get really good players in the draft if you do it right, if you develop them, use their second team. And again, first and foremost, all of the credit has to go to Patrick Agyemang for the development, but Charlotte put him in the place to succeed, and now everybody's happy.
Do you think that his performance as of late in the Gold Cup has had any sort of stance on, maybe we all knew that he was going to be looked at by these clubs, but maybe the monetary that he had, having scored multiple goals in this Gold Cup run, do you think that's played a factor?
It doesn't hurt, right? But like these teams are doing scouting. Like, look, when Patrick Agyemang had, I don't know, probably 8 appearances in the Charlotte first team, Charlotte were getting bits for him. Like, scouting is so advanced, the Football Network is so advanced. The funny thing about this is, like, U.S. national team fans have been really critical of Patrick Agyemang, and it's like the other side of this is where, you know, the clubs like Derby County and others are saying, no, we really want him. If you can hold, like, we want a bit. Like, it's just funny, that juxtaposition of reading some Twitter comments sometimes versus like talking to a chief scout of a club or talking to people who are like, yeah, Derby County don't care that he missed a couple chances against Guatemala, right? Like, so it's always interesting. And again, that's not a critique of the fans. It's just how these things can be portrayed, and particularly when it's national team. And again, as on the 3rd of July, I'm wearing a USA jersey, which seems weird to be talking about fans, as I look like a fan right now. But these things are super emotional when it's a fan, and that's how it should be. But with the club side, it's like, if he scored a hat trick, yeah, that would have been nice. But like, if he didn't score any goals, it's not like Derby would have been, never mind, we don't want him.
Or a keyboard warrior, though, always has something to say. So even if things are good, they're still going to find something to talk about. As for Charlotte FC now, they've got a 6'4" hole up at striker now that they're kind of looking maybe to fill. Of course, they still have Idan Toklamati, who has been playing throughout this Gold Cup run, as well as we've seen him throughout the season. What do you think's next for them in terms of their needs, maybe looking to find a striker?
So in the interim, it's going to be Idan Toklamati continuing just like it has been with Patrick Agyemang on U.S. national team duty. No matter what, a new signing can't debut until after July 24th. That's when the summer transfer window opens. That's when you can register a new player. Charlotte FC are obviously prepared for this eventuality. They have targets. They have ideas. Getting things done early in the summer is difficult if they can get the right guy in with the right target. Like, we think back to last year, they had several high-profile players that they came close to, but ultimately, for one reason or another in each deal, it didn't work out. Charlotte FC have an open designated player spot, which means they have the most flexibility they can to address the number 9 role, and I'm expecting them to fill it this summer. We'll see what way they go. One name I do know of is Giorgos Yakumakis. Used to play for Atlanta United. He's currently with Cruz Azul in Mexico. He's leaving that club. I know he's at least of interest of Charlotte, but last time I asked several weeks ago, there hadn't been any contact or anything serious. We'll see if that progresses, but I'm certain he's not the only option. There are plenty of players in the mix here, and we'll see how this develops over the next few weeks.
Yeah, obviously the run of form for Charlotte FC over the past month or so hasn't been up to their standard. Goal scoring is something that they have struggled with, and that is a hole that Patrick did fill while he was here. And while he was gone, of course, they were needing those goals from him. So is that going to be their number one priority as they're looking at that window later in July?
Absolutely. It's the most consequential, again, because it's a designated player spot. They have the outsized importance on the squad. That is absolutely the top priority. There will be some other things that the club are going to want to do this summer, but if they get the number 9 right and everything else wrong, it's going to be a net positive.
And now we know a little bit more about the big trade. So how that's going to affect Charlotte FC, Carlene. Yep. Let's see. We have July 4th.
We have July 4th.
Like I posted on my Instagram, a reel. I tagged you.
Oh, thank you.
That we are holding it down here.
I haven't seen it yet.
We're holding it down here in the Live Impact studio.
Yep.
It has been a busy day. I mean, luckily, so far, it's been busy, but nothing out of hand on the news front. But we've been bringing you this content because that's what we do here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Check out some of these live pictures right now. There's Kara Wins. What do you know, Carlene?
Kara Wins.
What's good?
The fireworks show. They do a big old fireworks show extravaganza at Carowinds every year. It looks like look, coasters are going. Like, people are definitely there. It's usually it's a big crowd,
right? So every
yeah,
night?
I'm sure tickets are probably still available. I can double check.
Okay, while you look at that, I mean, look at this. This is a beautiful cloudless sky.
Yeah,
so
it's a good day to go to
if it,
Carowinds.
yeah, if
No
you
rain.
no rain.
Yeah.
Just gotta stay hydrated, friends.
Yeah.
Go into the shade, take those water breaks. We've heard that could be very troublesome, but we've known that because we're on this heat wave now for 2+ weeks. But fireworks show this summer tonight might be a good one. How about?
Looks like tickets are available. So yeah.
Okay.
If you want to go. All
right,
It's always a
Carowinds.
big. It's always a big to do. It's a very pretty display.
Excellent. And look at this, Myrtle Beach. Beautiful morning out there. If you are headed that way for your long holiday weekend, Chris Mulcahy says, beautiful.
Soak it up now.
For now.
Yeah.
Wow.
He really put a cliffhanger on it, and it's like they can't hear you, Chris.
But potential for a subtropical depression or subtropical weather. So it really just means winds.
Winds, rain.
Winds and rain,
Yeah.
clouds. So it might put a little bit of a damper, but we're talking about Sunday, maybe late Saturday, if I was paying attention. Freedom Boat Club, Lake Norman.
Pretty. Look, all those boats are gone. They're
Yep.
already like. It's usually by this time.
Yes.
We take this shot quite a bit. It's usually like pretty full.
Our dog-
No, they're like out and about.
they
It's not
knew.
even 11 o'clock.
They know what's
It's
up
emptied
on
out.
the holiday. All right. Well, good for you. It looks like that.
We still
one
want
flag-
boat friends.
We're still looking. Intern Lily said that she was going on a boat today.
And she didn't send it. She didn't like pass
No, she didn't
along
put
the
it
message.
out to us. I think
We're gonna have to talk to her.
We're going to have to talk to her. And so enjoy your weekend. Be safe. We've had a lot of information on public safety, water safety. Uptown, and I understand, was A-OK.
Yes.
After last night's fireworks show.
Yeah.
So
extravaganza.
that is
Sky
good.
Show.
Good to hear. What's that?
It's called the Sky Show.
The Sky Show.
Sky Show.
It was
after the nights.
a beautiful night for it as well. So we thank you for joining us here for this morning stretch of Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th. Charlotte Today is up next, and we will be back here at 12:30
Yeah.
for more Live Impact News on
got us.
WCNC Plus. Happy 4th. See you soon.